You were never the problem child. You never threw tantrums, never talked back, never made anyone worry. You got good grades, stayed quiet, said please and thank you, and made the adults in your life proud. And somewhere along the way, you started to believe that made you okay. But here's the question nobody ever asked you, and I want you to sit with this for a second. What did you have to shut down inside yourself to become that easy to love? Think about a kid. Maybe you recognize this kid. Maybe you were this kid, 7 years old, parents arguing in the kitchen, voices getting louder. And this child, instead of crying, instead of asking for help, quietly walks to their room, sits on the bed, and starts doing homework. Not because they're not scared, they are, their heart is pounding. But they learned something early, learned it without anyone teaching them directly. They learned that the safest thing they could do was disappear, be calm, be good, don't add to the chaos. So they did. They became the child that nobody worried about, and that right there is where the problem begins, because the world looked at that child and said, what a good kid. And nobody stopped to ask, but is this child okay? There's a term in psychology called emotional suppression. But forget the term. Here's what it actually means in real life. It means you stopped feeling your feelings out loud, not because you didn't have them, you had all of them. The anger, the fear, the loneliness, the need for attention and affection. You had every single one. You figured out, usually before you even had the words to explain it, that showing those feelings made things harder. For everyone, maybe your sadness made your mother anxious. Maybe your anger made your father distant. Maybe your needs made you feel like a burden, so you did what any smart, sensitive child does, you adapted. You became low maintenance, you became easy, you became good, and the terrifying thing is it worked. People loved you more when you needed less, so you kept needing less and less and less, until you forgot you were allowed to need anything at all. Here's what I want you to understand. This is the part that most people never get told. Being a good kid isn't always a sign of a happy childhood. Sometimes it's a sign of a child who learned to survive by making themselves invisible. Sometimes the quietest child in the room is the one carrying the most. The kid who never cried during the move to a new city. They were devastated, they just didn't want to upset their parents. The teenager who said, I'm fine, every time they were not fine. They just didn't believe anyone would actually stay long enough to hear the real answer. The young adult who became the family peacemaker, the one who checked on everyone else, the one who remembered every birthday and held every secret. They were exhausted. But they smiled because that's what good kids do. Pause here for a second. Think about the last time someone asked how you were doing and you actually told them the truth. Not the I'm good version, the real version. When was that? For a lot of you, you're struggling to remember. Here's where it gets deeper, and I need you to stay with me. When you spend years performing okayness, something shifts inside you. You stop just hiding your feelings from other people. You start hiding them from yourself. You'll be in the middle of a perfectly normal day and suddenly feel this heaviness you can't explain. This low-grade sadness. This vague sense that something is missing, but you can't name what it is. You're not depressed exactly. You're not anxious exactly. You're just a little hollow, a little far away from yourself. And because you've always been the together one, you don't even give yourself permission to take that feeling seriously. You tell yourself you have no reason to feel this way. Other people have real problems. You're just being dramatic. That thought, I'm just being dramatic, that sentence right there is one of the most heartbreaking things a person can think. Because it's not yours. Someone gave it to you. You absorbed it from a world that only paid attention to you when you were smiling. Let me tell you about a pattern that shows up over and over again in people who were the good one. In relationships, they give endlessly and ask for almost nothing. Not because they don't have needs, because they genuinely cannot bring themselves to ask. The asking feels dangerous. It feels like too much. Like if they need something, the other person might leave or pull back or look at them differently. So they overfunction. They become the caretaker, the fixer, the one who holds it all together. They are deeply, deeply reliable for everyone around them. And then alone at night, they wonder why they feel so unseen. They wonder why every relationship eventually feels one-sided. They wonder why the people they love the most never seem to think to check on them. But here's the twist they never see coming. People don't check on them because they've been sending the same signal for years. I'm fine. I don't need anything, I've got it handled. They train the people around them to not worry. And now they're upset that nobody worries. That is not a character flaw. That is a survival strategy that outlived its usefulness. It kept you safe once, it's keeping you lonely now. There's one more thing I want to say, and this might be the most important part. The good kid grows up, and they are often brilliant, empathetic, intuitive people. They can read a room in seconds. They know when someone is hurting before that person says a word. They are the friends who show up, the partners who remember the small things, the employees who go above and beyond without being asked. The world benefits enormously from them. But they often reach their 30s or their 40s or sometimes earlier, sitting in a quiet moment and realizing they have absolutely no idea who they are outside of being useful to other people. They don't know what they like, what they actually want, what kind of life would make them feel alive, because they never got to explore that. They were too busy being easy, too busy being needed, too busy making sure everyone else was okay, and in that quiet moment there's grief. Real grief for the child who never got to be messy, for the teenager who never got to be difficult, for all the years spent shrinking. Let yourself feel that grief if it's there. It means something real is waking up in you. Here is what I want to leave you with. You were not a good kid because you were happy. You were a good kid because you were trying to hold something together. And you did. You held it together beautifully. Nobody can take that from you, but you are not 7 years old anymore. You don't have to earn your place in a room by being easy. You don't have to make yourself smaller to be lovable. You don't have to have it all together before you're allowed to ask for help. The feelings you tucked away all those years, the anger, the sadness, the longing, they didn't disappear. They've been waiting, patient and quiet, just like you taught them to be. And they deserve to be heard, not because they're useful to someone else, not because they make you a better friend or a more productive person, just because they're yours. You spent so long being good for everyone else. Maybe it's time to be honest for yourself.